all these sayings you have up in weight rooms and down the halls of locker rooms and quotes from this and that, whatever. I don't think you've ever read one and go, wow, that made me a better player. I had one thing up, I painted over all of them. It said, play better.
Buck Showalter joining us for an extended segment here. Good to see you. How are you? Happy spring training to you.
Guys, thank God for Claudia trying to figure out how to set up this microphone and all this other stuff. Oh my gosh.
Producer lady is the best.
I don't know what you're paying her, but it ain't enough.
Too much.
Easy, Buck.
Too much, Buck.
Easy, Buck.
Too much, Buck. Too much.
Hey, don't you guys know greens and style? Look at Eric's background.
That's actually Green Monster Green. It's
Exactly.
like that's the name, Green Monster Green, and you can't see it, but above the camera, I got a yellow line going above there, which I think is one of the dumbest things in all of baseball. They have a yellow line on the fence, but if it hits it, it's still in play. So anyway,
don't get me going, please. Let me ask you a question. AJ, Ozzie Guillen comes up to you. You got a 7-year contract. And he says, hey, AJ, we got this great prospect. Our club's going to be better. We're going to move you to first base. What would you say to him?
Well, I would say if you want to lose more games and move me to first base, keep me right where I'm at, kid. Because, I'll be the first one to admit, Buck, I was scared as hell of the ball without my catching gear on. If you stuck me in the infield in BP, I was scared to death. I was olaying the crap out of balls. But you put the gear on me, you put the batting helmet on me, I'll take whatever you got. But for some reason, you stuck me in that dirt. Nope, I wanted no part of the ball.
So if I put shin guards, a mask, and a chest protector on, you'd be all right playing first base.
Oh, I'd knock the hell of that down and flip it to the pitcher. I'd have the most assists in the league. I'd be like John Stockton, Buck. I'd be like, flip, flip, flip.
Okay, what's the over-under? How long before the first fight tonight?
3 minutes.
I say none. I bet they don't have any.
Wow.
No fights?
Okay.
Come on, Buck. You know it's drama. You know that they have, they're setting it up. It's like it's already predetermined. Hey,
WWE, they got their script. You're fighting him tonight. No. In all seriousness, wait, I want to backtrack for a moment though, Buck, because we have you on, so you gotta give us your opinion here first on Devers. So, okay, Bregman gets signed. They were pursuing him all offseason. They also were talking about Nolan Arenado for a good chunk of the offseason. So it's not new that they were going after a third baseman. What do you think goes on behind the scenes when this happens? And then why does it get into public drama once we're in camp?
Well, I find out usually there's reasons for everything. Some of them you don't know. I know that when you look at your manager is an ex-infielder. Okay, so he's going to put a lot of premium on infield defense. And how can you make up ground with other teams? So many people put a premium on offense, and there's a way to make up ground if you get better defensively. I think it's as simple as I'm always careful about with Latin guys. Sometimes it gets lost in translation, so you got to be careful about basing things literally on what somebody says. I mean, you look at Bregman, he said, hey, wherever you want me to play, it's about the team winning and whatever. That obviously is great. I actually think he might play some shortstop if Trevor Story has an issue or whatever. But having a third baseman on the team that is better than your current third baseman, if nothing else, is going to put a little heat on Devers to maybe be, better at third base. I think if the competition is great. Now, when you got that type of contract, what the competition has to come from within the player, because whether he is good or not, he's still going to get paid. So, sometimes I wish, some of the peripheral people wouldn't weigh in on it, but everybody, the first baseman seems to be weighing in on it. And, I haven't quite figured that one out yet. But, Bregman's handling it perfectly. But, I believe I've got some real personal opinions on it. What do you guys think? I mean, what do you think's happened? I can't imagine knowing Alex, that he hasn't communicated this beforehand.
That was my question to you, Buck, is how does this get to this point? How does it get to spring training? And I know Devers might have already been there, but, knowing Alex Cora, he's a communicator, right? So I can't imagine he didn't pick up the phone, call Raffy and say, listen, man, we're close on Alex Bregman. Now, there's a chance he could play third base. Are you okay with moving? And him not saying yes to that, like as a manager, wouldn't that be your first phone call is, hey, Raffy, guess what? And then you got to call Triston Casas and tell him not to say what he said. Because listen, Triston, nobody really gives a crap what you say because you're out of all the three of these guys, you're way low on the totem pole of these three. So guess what? If anyone's getting kicked out, it's going to be you. So wouldn't you think those would be his phone calls is, hey, Alex, where do you want to play? And if he says third base, then you got to call Raffy, have that conversation. Then you call Triston Casas and say, guess what, buddy? Sorry, you might be SOL right now.
Well, my question to you, AJ, is where does Devers move to?
That's if you move him to DH, I think you hurt the team. But he doesn't want to go to DH because if you move him to DH, you lose Yoshida's bat and you lose Casas's bat at some point because there's going to be times where you're going to want to mix and match and do things. So it's a tough situation, and I've said it on here, Buck, and I'll say it again. Opening day, Rafael Devers will play third base. It might not last very long, but he's going to be there on third base. As soon as he makes that first error, guess what's going to come up? You've been around Boston. You've been around New York. Get Devers off the field. Get Bregman at third base. You want to go, you know how it's going to go. So, but I said on opening day, he'll be the third baseman. After that, all bets are off.
Well, here's my question. When I say where's Devers moving to, my next question is if he moves to third base, Bregman, who plays second base?
Who's on first?
Christian Campbell? I don't know. Are you trusting a rookie kid that's never has no big league experience to do that? That's why I said on opening day. I think Devers will be the third baseman. Bregman will be at second. They'll adjust after that. If Campbell goes down, if he has a great spring, goes down to AAA for a month, mashes, guess what? He'll be up there quicker. Then they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out because it plays itself out. Now it's a big story, but you're a good team with Bregman on it, a better team. So, is he the player that he was 6 years ago? Nobody is, but he brings such a presence and a pedigree that they need there. I love what Boston's done in the offseason, kind of under the radar. They've added some really upside things to happen there, and defensively they're better. I think they're more versatile. I know in the big leagues, when you have guys good players that you can move around and not sacrifice something, it's a real advantage. And Bregman's one of those guys. I remember the first time I saw this guy playing shortstop at LSU in the College World Series, I got up and I called our scouting director, who is this guy? He was a shortstop. This guy can play all over, and you always got to be asking yourself, what if? Something you pencil in, and then all of a sudden it's hurt for an extended period of time, the season doesn't stop. Your what ifs are very important. So, I think Bregman gives him a lot of versatility in where he can move him.
All right, Buck, what would you say to Triston Casas? If this whole thing's going down and you get a young guy that really listen, he's supposed to be this stud. He hasn't really done. He's been injuries, unfortunately. But if you're Alex Cora and you're Craig Breslow or you're a player on his team, what are you telling him when he goes into this press conference and says what he says?
I think a lot of times people got to get caught up in that, wow, people are actually listening to what I'm saying. They're weighing in on it. Sometimes you can get caught up in the disease of thinking that, your opinion matters that much. AJ, I'll ask you and Kratzy both. All these sayings you have up in weight rooms and down the halls of locker rooms and quotes from this and that, whatever. I don't think you've ever read one and go, wow, that made me a better player. I had one thing up. I painted over all of them. It said, play better. Just play better. Nobody wants to hear all the peripheral stuff. Just play better. There's a lot of lip service paid to it. So, I'm sure that Alex will have some of those conversations behind the scenes, and I give, he's a smart guy and a good manager and I've had his brother Joey, who's a brilliant baseball guy, and these things will get handled behind the scenes, and some of them will sort themselves out, but competition is a good thing. And, you always control it as a player because you can play better and shut everybody up. It's like David Cohen said, they're waiting to embrace me. David Cohen said one time after getting booed off the field, he said, it's my responsibility to pitch better. If I pitch better, they'll cheer for me. And that's exactly what happened. You control it.
Buck, two things. One, there's an old saying in baseball, if you don't like it, play better. If you're in the minor leagues, you don't like it, play better. Get to the big leagues, right? And then I disagree with you on one. There's only one quote I think I've ever seen that made me play better. It was in Old Tiger Stadium. You're walking down the tunnel, which, by the way, I had to duck. It was like this tall, right? Walking down,
I didn't
and
have
there
to
was
duck. I didn't have to duck. AJ, I did not have to duck.
there was a urinal. I'm sure you remember the urinal that was there. I think it was on the left side as you went down the tunnel. And over the urinal, it said, "Some of the best players in the history of the game have peed here. Be great today," or something like that. That one made me want to go out there. I was fired up because I'm like, I'm peeing where Babe Ruth peed back in 1900.
Well, there was one there that said, "Don't put cigarettes in the urinal. It makes them soggy and hard to light."
Also true. Also true.
There's also I remember that. I said, "Man, I wonder if Ty Cobb ever peed in this place." It was pretty cool, but he was not a visitor. You know what I saw the other day? That if Ty Cobb went over, was it Ty Cobb went over 2,530, he would still be hitting 300. Was it Ty Cobb? Somebody that was amazing. Okay, what else?
So if you added Ty Cobb's numbers to my numbers, he would still be hitting over 300. Is that what you're saying? I appreciate that, Buck.
Let me tell you something,
Appreciate
Betsy.
that, Buck.
I did a little homework on you. Hey, do you guys know what the nickname of Eastern Mennonite University is? I do.
The wagons, the horse-drawn carriages.
Come on.
It's another name for a lion.
The Royals.
What's another name for a lion? Royal.
Why isn't that stadium named after you?
Ooh, because Buck.
Because I'm cheap. Because I'm cheap,
Buck,
and I didn't
gotta
give
give
any
money
back to it. And
hey,
the money
Buck,
I did give back, they asked if they wanted my name on it, and I said, not a chance. Not a chance. That is
Buck, why
that
isn't
is not my
Chipola
cup
named
of tea.
after you? Why is Mississippi State not named after you? I mean,
Because
it's the same question.
Because Palmer and Clark went there, and Brantley, and your buddy Thigpen.
Thiggy, my boy. I love Thiggy.
Big pen. Yeah. All right, Kratz,
All
what
right,
else you
Buck.
got?
Another clubhouse issue that we got to take care of. Pitchers and catchers report. The manager's there. He's shaking hands. How was your off season? Hand in your little pocket in your pants. What? Wait a minute. One of our starters from last year didn't show up. Oh, I talked to him. He's not going to show up until the very first game. How do you handle that? And are you good with that in a sense of creating the culture that you want to create of competitiveness, togetherness?
I think you kind of make it inconsequential. It falls underneath the no, you know what. I mean, I'm sure that it was all communicated, knew what was going on. You don't like it, but you pick the battles worth winning. I'm sure, everybody can do math. You know how many starters there are. You could go 6 men. It'll work out injury-wise or whatever, but you'll look back later on this season and go, why did we make that a bigger thing than it was? It shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, you knew he wasn't going to be happy about it, and it'll work itself out one way or the other, but you try not to make it sometimes players will make it a distraction on its own, but what you try to do is make it inconsequential, like, okay, do whatever you want to do, and that's fine, go ahead. But we're not going to let it disrupt what we're trying to get done here. I just don't think you dwell on it and make it a real topic of conversation. I think most players just, you get to the perfect point where people are looking for sympathetic ears in your locker room. You got the culture going on when somebody who's got a complaint goes to a teammate and AJ goes, I don't want to hear it. He goes to Kratzy, he don't want to hear it. You keep going around looking for that. That's why I always talk about eliminating sympathetic ears. You think Bregman's going to be a sympathetic ear to BS in Boston? He's pretty tunnel vision about, hey, if this isn't something that helps us win or lose ball games, I really don't want to hear it. So you try to eliminate all the sympathetic things to BS that get in your way of winning. And it'll work itself out. I wouldn't dwell on it. You'd had this communication long before. I mean, the math was there a long time ago. So, the way injuries are and the way people, starting pitching, you better be about 10 deep in today's game.
Did you ever have a situation like this where, hey, everybody's here and this guy didn't show up? Because I had never heard of it, but now as this came out over the past week, we hear, oh, yeah, well, actually, I knew this rule and I saw this guy used to do it and push it. Did you ever have anybody do that?
Oh, way back when, a guy named Pascual Perez, but that was for us another story altogether. But
Pascual Perez, yes.
We never had
That
that
dude was
much.
crazy. That guy was full
You
crazy. Buck, didn't he throw the bat at that pitcher that one time when he got hit? They threw it when he was with the Braves. He chucked his bat. That was awesome.
I'll never forget. He finally showed up in camp. We found out later why he was late, but Mr. Steinbrenner made all the coaches come back from the hotel because he did a side at night when he got in. He had a work day, so we were all standing around the dugout and turning the lights on. That was enough. Might be in the book one day, but I never had that much depth. We always had 4 starters, and then we had competition for the other spot. Sometimes 3 starters and 2 young players competing. Because spring training is such a fooler. If you're evaluating players in spring training or in September, those are the 2 big foolers on players: is September call-ups and spring training phenoms. If you base your decisions on that, and you haven't already come to a conclusion because of track record, you're going to make some mistakes on player evaluation. And I still see it. I see it all the time. Spring training, evaluating outfielders in spring training is awful because you got a high sky, you got wind, you got depth perception, you got a feel they're not used to. I've seen Gold Glove outfielders look like a monkey doing what in spring training. They don't look good. So you got to be careful about evaluating outfielders in spring training.
More in a minute, but first, a quick word from our sponsor of this video. Kratz, what time is it?
Time to stop overpaying for wireless with these bogus fees and, quote, free perks that actually cost more in the long run. You know what I'm saying?
What he's saying is it's time to switch to Mint Mobile with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. Just check it out. See how much you can cut off your cell phone bill. Go to mintmobile.com/territory.
No unexpected overages on those bills. You get all the bells and whistles too. And I love that all plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And you bring over your current phone number when you switch. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/TERRITORY. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. And now back to the video.
I didn't have a chance to make the team in spring training? Like you said, you're already evaluated guys beforehand? Unbelievable. All that time I thought I had a chance.
You evaluate by talking to people. You talk to your AAA manager, you talk to your hitting coordinator, you talk to your guidance counselor from high school, you talk to your mom and dad. I mean, there's a lot of ways to evaluate somebody without. I trust track record more than anything. All right, what you guys hate about?
Hold on, no, Buck. I got a question before you go.
All right, bring it on.
Did you ever have Kratz on your team?
I wish I had. No.
Okay, you know why you didn't? Because you just said you talked to their managers before. You talked to your boy John Russell, and he did not recommend Kratz. That's why you never signed him. I knew it. I knew there was a connection there.
No, he hammered left-handed pitching. We would have loved to have had him. We saw a lot of left-handed pitching. He wanted.
John didn't remember me. It's okay. It was just my first big league manager, but he didn't remember me.
Oh yeah, he did. John didn't miss anything. John, a few words, but much knowledge. Few words, much knowledge. My type of guy. What you guys hate about spring training? AJ, I can't imagine you in spring training.
Oh, what did I hate about spring training? All of it. Every second of it. What did I like? If you ask me what I liked about spring training, I could tell you nothing. Not a thing. You know what I liked about spring training? We got on the plane and left. That was it. No, I didn't like I like the first day when you show up, you see everybody. The first game, and then when you get on the plane to leave. That's it. Other than that, I hate because I was a bad spring training player because I could never get excited for a spring. You know what the most excited I think I ever was in spring training was I grounded into 2 double plays my first 2 at bats. And I'm standing on deck, and Ozzie Guillen and Joey Cora sitting there, and they go, "We bet you $100 you ground into another double play." And I was like, "There's no way." Guy gets on first, double play. I'm running to first. They're like, "We told you, we told you, we told you." That was probably the most mad I ever got in spring training.
You guys would have liked my spring training. There's so much there's so much stuff in spring training that really doesn't serve a purpose. I like guys that go, why are we doing this? You got to at an 8 to 12 minute attention span. You're basically trying to entertain players too, and you got to have movement. You got to, you don't do something till you get it right. You do something till you can't get it wrong, and you try to make it interesting. We'd have a talent show. We'd have different things where you want to make it something that people want to come to. We'd go to a movie theater and go over things. It's just, spring training, let's face it, for position players, how long did you guys really need to get ready? It's about the pitching. How long do you think you guys needed?
Truly, 35 at-bats. That's about what I would get, and I got used to that, so maybe that's what I got used to. But I wasn't getting ready to be an everyday player either, so it was different. I love spring training. I love the golf outing at the end of spring training with the Phillies that we had every year. The whole team gets out there. I love hanging out afterwards. I love, the workout. I enjoyed spring training. I really did.
Well, I always try to look at it through a player's eyes. Would I want to do this? Does this really serve a purpose? Because they sniff out a phony in a heartbeat. If you're doing something just to stay on the field, it's no good. It's got to have a purpose. It's about getting the pitchers ready. What you do with the pitchers is, I see now they bring 30 pitchers to camp. Spare me. There's no way you can evaluate 30 pitchers. There's like teams that have 70, 72 players, average, I think 64. I always try to say under 60 because it wasn't fair to the people you brought in there. And if you need something, you go over to minor league camp and get it. I think there's so much money wasted in spring training. Side works now take forever. It used to take 15 minutes. Now they throw a pitch. They have to go evaluate that pitch. They're max efforting things very early on. And I think that's one reason why you have so many injuries in the spring. You always try to work in, there's going to be some injury along the way. So you try to buffer your schedule along with that. There's so much planning that goes into it. But it's about the pitching. Position players get bored very quickly.
You talk about the pitching. You deviated me from what my question was going to be. Have you seen videos of the bullpens that guys are throwing? Because in between breaks here, when we transition, we have videos. And it's 3 to 4 guys going, Buck, there is a camera. There is a TrackMan. There is probably 3 or 4 staff members all watching one person. If you watch the entire 8-pack, it's unbelievable how many people there are. Do you feel like there's too many people touching each pitch, giving too much evaluation to each pitch that don't have any credit to do that kind of stuff?
Yes, without a doubt. Did you guys see the tape of the pitcher from Japan? What's his name that had his first side work yesterday with the Dodgers?
Roki Sasaki.
Yep.
Oh my God! There must have been 50 people standing around. First of all, how can you have that many players standing around? Don't you have something to do? And you tell him, hey, no, we're not evaluating. Just get your work in. You got that many people watching your first outing, and you've got your whole country and everybody in the States is watching you. You don't think you feel some pressure to turn up the dial a little bit? I never watched. If I watched the side work, I would do it where they couldn't see me. I would stand way over to the side, away from everybody. And we only did 2 or 3 at a time. You got that many people. The catchers hated it. I didn't take 8 catchers. I took 6 catchers and 2 bullpen guys because you don't need 8 catchers in camp. There's so much fat that comes on in spring training. It's about getting your major league team ready. It's not a tryout camp. And if you don't know who your prospects are by then, you're probably down a bad road anyway.
All right, well, talking about the Dodgers, how do you approach it if you're Dave Roberts? You've got 2 rings in your pocket now. Well, 1 ring about to be in your pocket, but you sit there and you go, Aaron Boone just got an extension. Craig Counsell got this contract 2 years ago. How do you evaluate yourself, and how important is it to the other managers in the game that you get what you're worth in the market?
Well, that's true. I think one of the hardest things to do in team sports, whether it be players, coaches, or managers, is to win when you're expected to win. That's why I have so much respect for the Patriots when Belichick was there, Saban when he was at Alabama. And Dave fits into that. I mean, there's only one way they're going to be equated into being a success this year and be the last team standing. That's a hard mentality for a team to have. Yeah, they're very talented and they're very deep, but Dave has done a great job of playing a good hand well. And that's hard to do. There's a lot of guys that are good at playing a bad hand well, but some situations, hey, we're better than the other team. Let's don't overmanage that. There's a certain skill to that, and I think Dave does it well, and I think he'll be rewarded for it before it's over.
All right, Buck. Speaking of managers, you managed under some tough owners. I don't know. I want to know, what was it like managing for the boss, and then you got Cohen. So you got kind of, you got the boss who seems like, man, he's, you could have been fired at any second, and George Steinbrenner, and then you have Stevie Cohen, who's just like, I just want to win. I want to win, but kind of went about it as a happy-go-lucky kind of guy.
Well, they're very competitive men, and that's why they're successful in what they do. Peter Angelos was one of the great trial lawyers in the country. And Mike Flanagan gave me a great piece of advice when he was there with us. He said, Buck, do what I didn't do. Go over and sit down with the owner once a homestand, have lunch with him, let him air his griefs, because I really want to keep my coaching staff intact and consistent for the players. And he would give me what he didn't like, and he would get loud sometime, whatever. But at some point, we'd have a ham sandwich, and everything would be okay. But communication was key. With Mr. Steinbrenner, the fans didn't want to hear you complain about it. You knew the job description when you took the job. It shouldn't surprise you. I got a 1-year contract for $175,000 managing the New York Yankees. Therefore, I was on a 1-year plan, really a day-to-day plan. And I think the fans didn't want to hear it. They just, it's more about show me. And we tried to do that in Baltimore, is how can we make up the ground on some of the bigger market, bigger payroll teams? Better defense, better relationships, better 6-year free agents, better fundamentals, things that you could do that you didn't have to pay for, So ownership is, first of all, I don't have enough money to own a team. I always said, what do you need me to bring? What do you want to be about? What do you need here that you haven't had? And we'll see if we can bring it. You try to have a partnership with the general manager and the ownership and the manager. And you were all in it together and you had each other's back. But there were some challenges along the way. But I kept saying, I don't have enough money to buy the team. So you knew the job description going in. So you better bring it, what he wants.
Hey, and you don't have the powerful position of changing the rules, but we've had some of those. So the big one coming up in spring training is the challenge system with the ABS, with the robo-umps, right? And you can do a couple challenges. So what do you think about this and how this is going to play out? But also, a lot of fans are pretty ticked off, Buck, because there was a report yesterday that they might get rid of that strike zone box on the screen when this gets implemented, likely in 2026. I'm a fan. I'm an entertainment guy. You want to change the rules and make it better, I'm all for it. I want this to happen. But I'm like, don't take away a strike zone box. 83% of our fans yesterday when we did a poll said they love the K zone.
Well, keep in mind that the K zone is not accurate.
That's okay.
No,
it's close enough.
Okay.
I want a guide. I want a guide on the screen, Buck. It's close enough. I don't want nothing.
Okay.
If you give me nothing, if you can make it perfect, I'm good. But if I have to get something that's close, I'd rather have that than nothing on the screen.
Well, you understand, you're managing. There's always a camera well to your left, and guys are looking at it. I mean, you want to get thrown out of the game, tell the manager what the K box said, okay? Because he'll tell you, what it's going to happen is, okay, you're going to evaluate very quickly who on your team doesn't cry wolf and is accurate. Can you imagine AJ in the first inning, he's up to bat, and a guy throws him a pitch, the very first inning, and he challenges it, and he's wrong. And then he's wrong again the next day. Now, everybody on the team gets hurt because you're losing your challenge because you're only going to get so many, the catcher, the pitcher, and the hitter, right? So you better be accurate when you challenge because you talking about tick off your teammates. Can you imagine, AJ and Kratzy, if you got a guy that continually wants to challenge and he's wrong all the time and it's hurting the team. Now all of a sudden, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, you don't have any challenges left.
We're going to keep
do you have to have a
meeting?
Pardon?
But do you have to have a meeting for that as the manager? Because let's say, okay, I'm going to use your old team. I'm going to use the Yankees, for example, right? The Aaron Judge has got a great eye, right? But then whoever's hitting ninth for him, whoever that is, and they're not Aaron Judge, they use the challenge and they're wrong. And then Aaron Judge comes up in a big situation and he goes like this. And they're like, oh, sorry, Aaron, you're out of like as a manager, don't you have to have a meeting and say, listen, you're Don Mattingly, you get to challenge, but whoever's hitting ninth for you, you don't get to challenge that call because you're not that person?
You better be really right. If you're in the first 7 innings, 6 innings, you better be sure you're right, and it better be a game changer. I got one for you. The one I can't understand, I've said this for years, you're going to have to register your height with the league. Now, what if a guy hits out of a crouch, or he changes his batting stance or crouch from at bat to at bat? All of a sudden some guy is in a crouch and they throw a pitch where if he's standing erect, it would have been a strike. It's going to create some issues. I think that's going to be a challenge for him because, AJ, you may change, or Kratzy, you guys may change your batting stance from what it was. Maybe you hit straight up, and then all of a sudden you decide to hit differently. How is that going to be adjusted? I haven't heard the answer to that yet.
I think Jason Stark wrote about it. There is some science to it, and that was part of why it was taking some time to get it done. I don't know the answer, so don't quote me on it. I have to go back and find it, but there is an article that includes some information on that because there were players, I think, that were trying to game the system in the minors, and they figured out a way to counter it. This has been getting tested in the minors for half a decade.
Well, I'm sure they thought about it. I was on the rules committee for a while, and everything I got so much more confidence in it because they are working on a lot of these things we bring up. Well, what if this happened? What if that happened? Believe me, they're on top of this stuff because they've had a lot of trials and trial and error trying to get to this point. But I think, it's good for the game. I want to be able to trust it. I don't know why we aren't able to challenge everything. Just take it out of the manager altogether. Why wouldn't we just have it come directly from New York? I mean, they went from 20 seconds to this seconds. I mean, the manager basically has got no time. You talking about pressure. The guy that's running the replay up the runway, he's the guy that's got pressure on you. I tell him, I go, listen, if you're wrong all the time, I'll get somebody else. But if you say, ooh, that's a tough one, Buck, I don't know, we'll definitely get somebody else.
Oh yeah, that's a big job. Video room guy or whatever they call him, quality control. That matters. That's a game changer. Buck, this was awesome. Appreciate the extended time. Obviously we'll get you back, but good to see you.
I have time, guys. I have time. It's not like I'm hurting for time here.
We do too, actually. The only thing is one of our team members, Katie Wu, is on the line waiting to join us next. So out of respect for her, she's a superstar, but we want you back soon. So appreciate you, Buck.
Hey, good luck tonight, Anthony John. Good luck tonight.
Why, you're rooting for Canada?
No. Come on, man.
I mean, come on. Good luck. What do you mean? We're all in good. We all need good luck tonight.
Hey, I don't even know the rules of hockey, but I'll be watching. I never understood why they just don't wipe the goalie out and shoot it in there.
That's against the rules. That's one of the rules.
That is a rule.
That's definitely a rule you can't do.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.